Most men don't realize it, but they will receive their first flower at their funeral. Hello everyone. Today I will talk about why it's hard to be a man in the 21st century. My name is Lucas Cortez, and this is episode 1 of Why It's Hard to Be a Man. Now, I know this is a very controversial topic in this day and age, so that's why I felt inclined to talk about it. I feel like the more controversial a topic is, the less people will talk about it because they fear what people will think about them if they speak about their mind. But not me. I'm not afraid of what people will think or say about what I will talk about in this episode, so that's why I'll dive into what people are too afraid to say. Also, a little disclaimer, all opinions said here are my own, so don't take offense to them if you disagree with them. I'll try my best to present as many facts as I can, but opinions will be stated now and then. Now, without other way, let's get started. I feel like it's widely agreed that if a man doesn't have anything to offer in a relationship, then he will be seen as worthless and will never be sought out by women looking for a relationship. Now, what does a man have that doesn't make him worthless, I hear you ask? Well, it could be a number of things, such as the security of his job, his income, his investments, his properties, his ability to provide for his family, and a number of other things. But, in contrast to a woman, what does she need to not be seen as worthless? Nothing. Literally nothing. She could literally have nothing, not even a job, but just because she's a woman makes her sought out for. That's why there are many stay-at-home wives while the man works and provides for his family. He does all the hard work to bring in money, to put food on the table, and put a roof over his family's head, and what do they get for doing so? They get criticized for simply being a man. Doesn't seem fair, now does it? The only reliable way for men to become successful in life is to work hard and put in as much effort as possible to achieve that. But with women, they have the easy way out of marrying a rich man and they're set for life. Now, some men do have this possibility, but it's very rare for them to marry a rich woman with no hard work from themselves. It is hard because the most widespread saying about men is saying that they don't even have emotions. The saying is, men don't cry. Well, no wonder men have a higher rate of suicide than women. The CDC reports that 80% of suicides are men. 80%! That is huge. Massive. Also, men are 43% more likely to get depression and anxiety compared to women. And you want to tell me that women's lives are comparatively harder? Why can't we all just agree that both men's and women's lives are hard? Most of the jobs that keep our society running and promote society growth are male-dominated. I'll give you some examples. Plumbers, pipe fitters, stream fitters, electricians, bricklayers, carpenters, mechanics, construction workers, firefighters, engineers, industrial mechanics, aircraft mechanics, machinists, and miners. These are all male-dominated by about 90% or more. These skilled trades are what keeps society alive. While yes, to some people they're just dirty jobs, just using manual labor, they also keep a society and economy going. Where would we be without these jobs? Nowhere. Now, in contrast to the jobs that are dominated by women are preschool and kindergarten teachers, executive secretaries, childcare workers, regular secretaries, dental assistants, medical record specialists, receptionists, information clerks, nurses, dietitians, nutritionists, hairdressers, and cosmetologists. These jobs are also 90% or more women-dominated. Also, something to keep in mind, women also have a higher percentage of graduating colleges/universities. But if it's going to be for careers such as these that aren't exactly as important for society, then it pretty much means nothing. Of course, don't get me wrong, kindergarten teachers and nurses are very important to society, but other than that, the rest don't keep society going. But if the jobs I just listed that are male-dominated are wiped off the face of the earth tomorrow, then the world will go into chaos. Who would build our houses? Who would fix our cars? Who would build our transportation? Who would run into the burning building? Who would dig out all our precious metals? The world needs men, and the men need the world. So, why is it so hard to just receive a simple thank you from women for working the jobs they don't? And less men are working these jobs because they feel they're not important. I'll give you some examples of those as well. Most people in prison are men. Most homeless people are men. Most people of violent crime are men. Most people who commit suicide are men. Most people who die in wars are men. People who do worse in school are men. I just gave multiple examples that prove that men's lives are as difficult. And then a feminist will tell me that men aren't important and they should all die? That's not fair to all the men that risk their lives for society. Shouldn't we show some respect? Just because a small portion of men are bad, that doesn't mean that all men are bad. Why does one bad apple have to spoil the whole batch? So many feminists are pushing and protesting for gender equality, but many times when gender inequality doesn't affect them, they stay quiet. One example is when the war between Russia and Ukraine started. All the women got to leave and flee the country. But the men, they had to stay. They had to defend their country. And Ukraine doesn't really have an organized army, so they were getting massacred by Russia's troops. All while this is happening, feminists were quiet. They didn't say a damn word about the very obvious gender inequality. Somehow, feminism doesn't exist when there's military conflict. Shocking. Even when it comes to murder victims, men are above women by a much larger margin. In 2020, in the United States, there were a total of 17,719 murder victims. Women victims were 3,573, but male victims were 14,146. So, even the men still unfortunately come out on top. So why? Why is saying thank you so hard? Why is just respecting men for all the work they do so hard? Why do we generalize all men as bad? Why? Just why? Now, keep in mind, I didn't say all this for you to take pity on men. I didn't say all this for you to feel bad for them. All I wanted to achieve by saying this little speech is to just show some respect for men. Just try to show some human decency to men that we all should receive. Be a little nicer. That's all I ask. And I think there's a very good saying that would apply here. Treat others the way you want to be treated.